I'm striving to get rich. That's why I always went 2 years without buying shoes and fits. Things change now. My mom hearing me with my music and she look a little proud.
Yo, what's up, world? Welcome back to the channel. APW Sports signing in. And I know I'm a little bit late on this video, but I was kind of waiting on the Bears starting quarterback news so I can get my full analysis of this preview video. But nonetheless, Matt Nagy has still yet to name a starter, and it will be a game time decision. So it is what it is. But this is a Bears preview video. The Bears come back home with their weird, crazy schedule this year to take on the 0-3 Lions. And the Bears are coming off, let's just say, one of their worst losses ever. Definitely one of the worst offensive performances that I have seen in my entire 30 years of life, in my entire Bears watching life. That was the absolutely worst offensive performance that I have seen from a Chicago Bears team, and there have been some bad offenses. So we come into this game, let's just say it can't get any worse. It just cannot get any worse. I know I forgot to tell you guys to subscribe, to like the video. I'm just so into this preview. I'm just so into what is going to happen with this game this week because, in my opinion, it is a lot on the line. For me, I believe that Matt Nagy's job is on the line. I believe that the entire future of Justin Fields and how things handled from this point out really rides on this game, because you're going into a week where Justin Fields is participating full in practices with his thumb injury, and Andy Dalton has been limited with the knee injury. Even though the signs point towards Justin Fields starting, Andy Dalton, I can really see in some scenario be the starter, because I believe that's who Matt Nagy wants to be the starter in his offense. But I'm not going to dive too much deeper into Matt Nagy, because you guys already know, if you haven't watched any of my previous videos, that I'm not a fan of Nagy. Can he right the ship with this offense, especially going up against the Lions team? Yes, they're 0-3, but this is a football team that has fought extremely hard in every game that they played. The first week against San Francisco, it was a little bit of a blowout early, but they came back late. Week 2, they were in that game until midway into the third quarter, where Green Bay started to pull away. And last week against Baltimore, and if it wasn't for a mistake and if it wasn't for Justin Tucker's field goal, they could have easily won that game. So even though the Lions are in a rebuilding mode, this is still a team that comes out and plays hard every single week. So the Bears on paper are better than the Lions. The Bears on paper are better than the Lions. The differences between the Lions and the Bears is that the Lions play absolutely tough and they play hard. In watching this Bears team, especially offensively, it doesn't look like they play with that same fire that the Detroit Lions team plays for. Is it the head coach Dan Campbell versus Matt Nagy? Possibly. Possibly it's Dan Campbell's leadership and his toughness versus Matt Nagy's reserve and stubbornness. But either way it goes, the Bears offense has to get things right, and this is the week to do it. Detroit is not a very good football team. You have a Bears offensive line that really didn't look good, but that was more schematic, in my opinion, watching that game versus just the entire offensive line just being horrible. Now, it's not the greatest of offensive lines, especially on the tackles, with Peters, who's 40, and Ifedi, who's definitely had struggles of his own, versus, let's just say, you have tight ends to help chip and block and do things like that in pass rush, which we really didn't see at all last week. So when you look at this Bears offense, I believe this is a game that they can bounce back if things are schemed correctly. If Matt Nagy stays in that stubborn, basic, everything same, and every team knows what's coming offense, it's going to be another bad game. But I believe offense of the Bears is more schematics than anything. It is more on schematics than anything, because I believe personally that the Bears have the talent. They have the talent to put the points on the board. You have Allen Robinson, you have Darnell Mooney, you have David Montgomery, who's been a very, very good running back this year. You have Damian Williams, who's been a very good spell back. And on top of that, you can have good quarterback play, whether it's from Dalton or Fields, if Nagy uses them right, you can have successful, I'm not going to say great, I'm not going to say elite, but you can have very good quarterback play from either one of those two guys. But switching things up to the Bears on the defensive side of the ball, this defense is shown its flashes the last 2 weeks, especially in week 2 against Cincinnati when they created 4 turnovers. Now, they were getting after Baker Mayfield and the Browns offense earlier, but Kevin Stefanski, unlike Matt Nagy, made those adjustments to slow Robert Quinn, who is a shell of what he was last year, which is a very good sign. Khalil Mack has been limited in practice with the foot injury. Hopefully this week we can finally see the return of Eddie Goldman, which would really help, not with just our depth, but with the interior of the Bears defensive line. Akeem Hicks, who knows is he going to play or not, and Bilal Nichols has had some solid games. The Bears front four will be very much better, I believe, especially if Eddie Goldman is able to return and he is able to play in this contest up against Jared Goff, who has really looked solid with a guy like TJ Hawkinson, with a guy like Cephas, who's been playing some solid football for them on the offensive side of the ball, with Jamal Williams and also Deandre Swift, the running back positions, who both have been playing some solid football, along with the offensive line of Detroit, who's not a very bad offensive line. So Detroit can really get sneaky and they can really score points if this Bears defense is not prepared. Now, the biggest question that I've had about the Bears, and it still rises to this point, is the secondary of the Chicago Bears. With guys like Eddie Jackson, who's been in and out of play and in positions to make tackles. He's missed a couple of tackles. Even though he created that fumble in week 2 against Cincinnati, he's been more a shell of what he's been, let's just say, 2018 and 19. Tashawn Gibson, we're not sure if he's going to be healthy and able to play in this game. Even though Deion Bush, when inserted into the lineup, he looked real solid. The question with the Bears, I believe, mainly in the secondary, is Eddie Jackson's ability to tackle, and I believe the play of Vildor and the play of Shelley. The play of those two guys can be very key in a game like this where the Bears need to rebound, the Bears need to bounce back, especially if Goldman and or Mack are unable to go. I think the secondary is going to have to play a lot better, especially if that pass rush is not able to get home like they have been the past 2 weeks of this year. Desai, I really liked his scheme. His scheme is kind of reminding of that Vic Fangio scheme, and it's kind of refreshing to see the Bears create turnovers. It's refreshing to see the Bears get after the pass rush, even though the game got a little bit out of hand late, and that was, I believe, due to the Bears defense just being absolutely demoralized because the Bears offense couldn't move the football, and the Bears defense was just worn out due to the effectiveness of the Browns absolutely dominating the time of possession last week. My 3 keys for the Bears to win this game. 1, and we all know the 1 key is to make offensive adjustments. Not just coming into the week, but also make halftime adjustments. If things are not going as you would think they were, and you're not moving the ball like you want to, Matt Nagy, Bill Lazor, and this Bears offensive staff have to make in-game adjustments, which we have failed to see from Matt Nagy, let's just say it, for most of his coaching tenure as the Bears head coach. The Bears offense must make in-game adjustments. Number 2 key for the Bears to win this game: be physical and win the time of possession. The way this Bears roster is built and the way that Detroit can sneak up on you and score points, they can be a physical football team in their own right because they fight hard. The Bears have to be physical up front. The running game has to perform better than it did last week. David Montgomery was unable to get going, and that was also due to play calling schemes, but the offensive line for the Bears has to be physical. The defensive line, for the most part, was physical until they got demoralized. Be physical up front. And on the defensive side, be physical with TJ Hawkinson, who is being, I believe, he's playing at an elite level at the tight end position. And Jared Goff, albeit the Rams cast him off, but he is still a very productive quarterback in this league. So you have to get after Jared Goff. Number 3, the secondary has to play better. The secondary has to play better, especially if Goldman and or Mack are unable to go this week due to injuries. The secondary has to hold up, especially if those two guys are out, or either one of those guys are out and they are unable to create that pass rush that they've been able to create the last 2 weeks. This secondary has to hold up, and Eddie Jackson has to make tackles, and they have to play better on the back end. If Gibson is in or out and Deion Bush is in or out, they have to play better on the back end. Enough with all that said. My pick for this game will be, I'm going to roll with the Bears with this game. I think the Bears will do enough to win this game. If you look at it on paper, the Bears are a lot more built and a lot better roster-wise than the Lions. But this Bears roster and this Bears team, led by Nagy, has an ability to shoot their own selves in the foot with play calling and shoot their own selves in the foot with the scheme. But I believe this Bears defense will do enough against this Lions offense, and I believe the Bears offense, I don't think will look great. I don't think will look 100% drastically better, but either it's Justin Fields or either it's Andy Dalton starting. I just believe that this Bears offense will be able to do just enough against this Lions defense, who's been decimated by injuries and just released Jamie Collins. I believe this Bears offense will be just good enough to squeak out a very close win at home, 17-14. But cut the music. I do want to let this out before this video is over with. And I had to get this off my chest. If the Bears lose this game and the offense looks as bad as it did last week, and the offense doesn't improve either under Andy Dalton or either under Justin Fields, Matt Nagy, I swear, by Monday, especially if you lose this game, especially if the offense doesn't look good, you should not have a job, because you're going to ruin this Bears team, a team that I believe is not going to be a very deep run playoff team. And you're going to, number one, and most importantly, ruin Justin Fields. If you don't make any adjustments and you lose this game and the offense looks just as bad as last week, you're going to ruin Justin Fields. You don't need a job, and it's just going to be absolutely brutal for Justin Fields' career if you are still the head coach and you lose this game. By Monday, you need to be out. You lose this game, and the offense looks bad no matter the quarterback. You have to go. Point blank, period. You're fired. But that is all I have. I do have the Bears winning this game over Detroit at home. Make sure you guys leave this video a like. Comment your thoughts down below. Do you believe the Bears are going to bounce back and win this game? Or do you believe the offense is going to be more of the same from last week? Leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. And as always, click that subscribe button and notification bell so you will not miss a single video. But I am APW Sports signing out. Make sure you guys stay safe out there. Have a great and excellent day. And I will catch you guys in the Bears reaction video. Bear down. Peace.